All right, let's look at letter B. A seagull on the top of a lighthouse spots a fish. Kids, you need to be able to draw the picture. Here's the seagull, here's the fish. The seagull is looking down at the fish. The gull is 87 feet above sea level. So the seagull, this is the seagull up here, and he is 87 feet in the air. The gull is 230 feet from the fish. Okay, now wait a minute. Where does the 230 go then? It's the hypotenuse. Yep. Kids, you have to be able to read. It says the seagull is 230 feet from the fish. Here's the gull, here's the fish. They're 230 feet apart. Find the angle of depression. Where did I tell you that goes? Right here. This one's a little bit different. So here we go. What function? Sine. Sine. Opposite over hypotenuse, right? Now, remember, when you do this, you attach the angle to the function. So it's sine x. Just like over here, it was cosine 17. Or it was cosine 63. Here, it is sine x. And what does sine x equal? 87 over 230. Now, we're going to use a new button on our calculator. Everybody pay attention. When you are finding an angle, we use this button, or this button. Those are the buttons that find angles. They are the inverse buttons. So I will press inverse sine, because this is a sine problem, 87 over 230. So type that in on your calculator. Second sine, 87 divided by 230. And I got 22.23 degrees.
And you only do, so you only do second sine because of F, right?
Okay, let's make sure we're clear on this, because sometimes we do second sine and sometimes we do regular sine. This one is used only when finding an angle. So only when x is the angle. If the angle is x, you're going to be use second sine. If the angle is a number, you're going to use regular sine. So you got to set your problem up and see what x is. If x is an angle, you're going to be using one of these. All right. How far is an airplane from the airport? Okay, so wait a minute. Here's the airport. Here's the plane. How far is the airplane from the airport? If he is 5,000 feet above the ground, and the angle of depression is 17. Where does the 17 go? Right here. So look at that picture. All of these are going to involve a right triangle. I got a plane and an airport. I know how high up the plane is. I want to know how far he is from the airport. Does that picture make sense to everybody? All right, let's try this again. Zion. Sine, cosine, or tangent? No. Zion. Zion, listen, it's not funny. SOHCAHTOA. Okay? Now I want you to look at this angle right here. Which side is this? Opposite? Yes, the opposite. That's right, opposite. Which side is this? Hypotenuse. So look at SOHCAHTOA. Which one has the O and the H sign? That's how we know which function we're using. So we'll say sine 17 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Jalen? Buford? All right, Evan, what do I do? Step one to solve.
Multiply both sides by x.
Bingo. Move that x to the other side. Perfect. Multiply both sides by x. Beautiful. Armand, how do I solve it? What do I need to do? Divide by sine 17. Perfect. So 5,000 divided by sine 17. That is it. So here we go. 5,000 divided by sine 17. Oh my, did you get a big number? 17,101.52, and I need a unit. Feet? You gotta admit this is fun.
It is really fun.
All right, let's look at the next one. Find the height of a flagpole. So here's my flagpole standing on the ground. Find the height of the flagpole. Caroline, you with us? Does that make sense to everybody? Find the height of the flagpole. That makes a shadow 13 feet long. All right, now think about this. Where is the shadow? Down here. This is the shadow. This is what's 13. The angle of elevation is 59 degrees.
So what it gives us an angle, it's always on the bottom.
Always. All right, now Zion, we're going to do this one more time. I want you to think before you speak. Which side is this? Which side is this? What function? Think SOHCAHTOA. What function? Tangent. You got it. Bingo. Perfect. So tangent 59 equals opposite over adjacent. Guadalupe, how do I solve that equation? Multiply the 13 over to the other side. So I will type into my calculator 13 tan 59.
21.64. Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Attaboy, new.
I don't know why I'm having a hard time with this. 13 tan 59. So what did you say, 21.64?
Obviously, you
And I need a unit always in my word problems. Absolutely fantastic. One more, and then we're going to do some review. What is the angle of elevation of a man looking at the top of a building? So here is the top of the building. Here is the man, and he is looking up at the top of the building. What is the angle of elevation? X. That's the angle of elevation. Angle of the top of the building is, the building is 48 feet tall, and he is standing 100 feet from the building. Where do I put the 100?
Hypotenuse.
Bottom.
Oh, my mom.
Yes.
Oops.
Isn't, he's standing here and this is the building, isn't that what's 100 feet?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so I'm gonna pick on someone else this time. What about Malcolm? What function shall we use, sine, cosine, or tangent?
Tan, negative.
Hey, we're talking to Malcolm. Which one, Malcolm?
Jason and hypotenuse, so.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
No, I'm tripping. I'm talking about
Which side is this?
that.
That's opposite. This is, so what function?
Tangent.
Tangent. So tangent angle equals 48 over 100. Okay? Now wait. If I'm finding an angle, I have to use my special buttons, right? So I'm going to say second tangent 48 over 100.
25.6.
You'll take that side.
Second tangent 48 divided by 100, 25.64 degrees. 25.64 degrees. How do we feel about that, okay?
Amazing.
All right, well, we're gonna take a break from the notes for a minute.
Take a break from all this math?
No.
Never
Break from our notes. And we're gonna do a little bit of review. Joe, put your head up. Yes, you can.
You got lies.
Said anything.
You got lies.
What he said?
The red flag.
What you know about it? Huh? If you think about it, it looks like
What?
it's a key. Like this.
That's when you got to
Doesn't actually, you know what? It opens doors.
Yeah, it's old but effective. Like we got, sir.
All right, now, you might recall that the last 3 days, we've had a quiz every day, right?
Yes, ma'am.
We had 3 6-point quizzes, so we got 18 points for the quizzes by the time I get them all graded in the book. Now it's time to have one big kind of review quiz over all of it, plus some calculator work on the back. So, here we go. This is our practice quiz. If we get all the way through it, well, we probably won't. But if we do, our quiz will be the next time we have class. If we don't get through it, we'll finish it next time and have it the time after that. So here we go. Let's start in and see how far we can get. Most of these things have already been on a quiz. Some of them haven't. All right, number 1, change 215 degrees into radians. All right, who can help me set that up? Anybody? Judah. We say pi is 180. Where does the 215 go? Under the 180. Kids, this should make so much sense to you. Pi radians is 180 degrees. That is a degree measure, so it goes with the 180. X is how many radians that's going to equal. So we start with pi equals 180, and then we put, depending on what they gave us, we put it under the appropriate one. So since that's a degree, it has to go under the 180. Now we'll cross multiply. Some of you missed this on your quiz. I don't understand how that can happen. So we'll divide by 180. Now, these are big numbers, but they're easy numbers. If that ends in 5 and that ends in 0, then what do I know for sure I can reduce this by? 5. So I'm going to take 215 divided by 5, and that's 43 pi over, and then I'm going to do 180 divided by 5, and that's 36. Now, will that reduce any further? Whoa, 43. 43 is a prime number, isn't it? That's
Your iPad, some popped up on it.
yeah, it keeps telling me that. I think it still does it. It's just telling me I have to enter some number that I've forgotten. So I just keep saying not now, and it just keeps going. Yeah, it's fine. Thank you, though. Thank you. All right, number 2. Find the exact value of the tangent of pi over 3. This is the quiz you just took. Everybody gets this right. Step 1, Megan.
Wait, is it square root?
Well, it's going to be something, but how do I find that? What do I do here to start working this out?
Oh, you have to do,
Well, someone help her. 180 divided by 3. So this is the tangent of 60, right? So then I have my picture where this is the 60. Across from the 60 is root 3, so the sides look like that. Joseph, please put your head up. Now, what's the tangent? What's the tangent? Opposite over adjacent. So root 3 over 1 or root 3? Got it? Number 3. We need to find sine, cosine, tangent, secant, and cosecant. And they told, wait, not cosecant, cotangent. They told me that the cosecant was 5/2. This was yesterday's quiz. Draw the same picture. The difference is you don't know the angle, it's a theta. But if the cosecant is 5/2, sine is 2/5, and sine is opposite over hypotenuse. How do I find that missing side? This is not one of my special triangles. I do the Pythagorean Theorem. So x squared plus 2 squared equals 5 squared. Right? So x squared plus 4 equals 25. X squared equals 21. I got the square root of 21. Now can I fill in all the rest of those? Cosine. Square root of 21 over 5. Somebody's saying it. Which means the secant is 5 over root 21, or 5 root 21 over 21. See how they're not lined up together anymore? You need to remember that cosine and secant are reciprocals. Just like you remembered cosecant and sine are reciprocals. What's the tangent?
2 square root 21 over 21.
Yep, 2 over root 21, which you rationalize to 2 root 21 over 21. And that means the cotangent is root 21 over 2. Okay, everybody okay with that one? Now the next one is a pure and simple memorization problem. But I want you to think about something for a minute. When you've been drawing all these triangles like this, you have called this adjacent, this opposite, and this hypotenuse, right? Every time. That's what you've done. Well, on a coordinate axis system, wouldn't this side be X?
Yeah.
And this side would be Y? And this is R, and you might be thinking, why is it R? Because some of trigonometry is circular, and that hypotenuse would be the radius of the circle. So it's the same triangle that you've been using, but instead of doing opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, you're going to do Y, X, and R. So this says which function would be R over X. R over X is the same as hypotenuse over adjacent. So think SOHCAHTOA. Which one involves hypotenuse and adjacent? Isn't it this one? But that's upside down, so it's not cosine, it is secant. Oh my gosh, Mrs. Ford, my head's gonna explode. I know, there's a lot to remember. But if you start putting it all together, it isn't that bad. It kind of naturally flows. 5 is another memorization. What is the reciprocal of the cosecant? Sine. Sine. Those are the reciprocals, sine and cosecant. Uh-oh. Define tangent. Opposite over adjacent would be great. Opposite over adjacent is one definition. Now, could you also say y over x? You absolutely could. All right, now evaluate with the calculator. Let me shut up for a couple minutes. Why don't you type those in?
It's a backside?
Yes, there's a backside. So why don't you type those in, those of you that have a calculator, and let's compare answers. Now I have a huge caution for you. What do you think I'm going to caution you about? Degrees or radians. So notice that they're mixed up in there. So I would go through and do one or the other. So my calculator's in degrees right now, so I'm going to do all the degree problems. Then I'm going to change it to radians and go back and do all the radian problems.
What do you press again?
I don't even know what that question means. What do you mean, what do you press? What are you trying to do?
It's like get like degrees.
How do we get the degrees and minutes symbol? Where do they come from?
You go to apps.
Second apps. There's the angle menu. Look above your apps button. You see the word angle. That's what you want.
Thanks.
All right, so I'm going to do these, you're going to do these, and we're going to compare answers. It says thousandths. So how many decimal places are we after?
3.
3.
We are able to get negatives correct.
Mm-hmm. Yep, negatives are going to be very common.
How is a radian able to be negative?
Negative angles are just the opposite direction rotation. We'll talk about that.
This is for A. How did you get 0.93?
I don't know, I might be wrong.
I got 0.1.
That's what I got. I'm sorry. That's what I got, Miss Ford.
Okay, then I know I'm not wrong, if that's what you got. Let me get all the answers up here and then we'll talk about ones that you don't match on or have questions about.
C, is that tangent negative 2018? Or is that minus?
It's tangent of negative 2018. Okay, so there's what I got, but I'm not gonna guarantee those are right. I might have made a mistake.
You got the same answer.
Who did, Jack? I don't know whether to feel good or bad about that, Jack.
I'm alright.
I got the first three.
I'll be good.
George
So-
said I got all the
First three, so I'm right, you're right. I said we're good. I said I'm as equally smart.
When you type in D, no, it's 1 divided by cosine. When we type in the reciprocal functions, when you type in secant, secant must be typed in as 1 divided by cosine, guys.
For the day.
Anybody not match? You think I might have made a mistake on something?
I keep getting wrong answers.
Which one are you doing?
I got A, and then I did D wrong.
So A you got right?
No, A.
He's gonna hold a hand too.
If there is a degree mark in the problem, you must be in degree mode. Now, listen, I don't see you again until Monday.